Listen close, because what I'm about to say isn't meant for the faint of heart. This is not a tale of glory or simple courage. This is the whisper in the dark, the shadow moving just beyond your sight, the cold truth that breaks the illusion you cling to. You think heroes charge into battle? You think warriors stand and face their enemies when the time comes? Number. The one who truly dominates the battlefield is the one who dissolves the conflict before it ever dares to ignite. The one who acts not in reaction, but in ruthless anticipation. This is the story of the force that bends time and fate to his will, the force that obliterates threats before they are even born. Understand this, sir, he doesn't fight for you. He erases your enemies before the war begins. Those words carry a weight most won't dare to comprehend. It's not about fighting anymore. Fighting means you have already accepted that your enemy exists, that your fate is tied to a clash of wills and strength. But he is beyond such limits. He doesn't wait for war to come knocking. He steps into the shadows before the night falls and ensures the battle never happens. He is not a soldier, not a hitman, not a mere instrument of death. He is something far more deliberate, far more terrifying. He is the storm before the storm, the silence that screams louder than 1,000 battles. You want to know what separates those who win and those who are lost to history? It's this mindset, the readiness to strike, not when the war is given, but when the war is created in your favor. While others prepare for battle, he prepares the field, clean, clear, and unchallenged. His enemies do not stand a chance, because by the time they see him, their path is already erased. They are ghosts in his story, forgotten before their own story begins. This is the truth of dominance, the power to reshape reality so completely that resistance becomes meaningless. There's an old idea that valor means facing the enemy head-on, charging with sword drawn, standing your ground when the fight arrives. That idea is a child's dream. Real power is subtler, colder, and far more efficient. It is the power to control outcomes before they become problems. To know your enemy so deeply that you become the architect of their destruction without ever exposing yourself. To exist in the spaces between light and shadow, where no one else dares to tread. To be the silent force that turns the tides before the first drop of blood is spilled. Now, this is not a call to violence or chaos. This is a call to mastery, to a level of control that breaks the very cycle of conflict, to the understanding that when you erase your enemies before the war begins, you are not just surviving, you are transcending. You become the force that makes war obsolete. You don't fight for someone else's cause. You create the conditions so your cause never has to fight. You don't answer challenges. You prevent them from ever taking shape. You become the end of the story before it starts. Imagine the power that comes with such foresight. The confidence of knowing no threat can touch you, because you have already undone it in silence, in shadows, long before anyone else saw it coming. This is not about strength of arms or numbers. It's about strength of mind, clarity of purpose, and an iron will that bends reality itself. It is about being so far ahead that the enemy's steps become predictable, their moves scripted in your favor, their existence reduced to a faint memory. Look around. Most people live reacting to life's challenges. They wait for trouble to find them, for conflict to push them into a corner, for battle to force their hand. But not him. He moves like a ghost, a force unseen, erasing danger with the precision of a surgeon and the patience of a shadow. He is not driven by impulse or emotion. He is driven by calculation and inevitability. His enemies don't just fall, they vanish, as if they never had a chance. This is the essence of true power, the power that leaves no space for chance or error, the power that whispers to the world, "You are already defeated." You may ask, what kind of man becomes this force? Not a man driven by simple revenge or glory, but a man forged in silence and resolve. A man who understands that true victory is never handed to the bold or the loud, but to the quiet and the patient. He who chooses to be the storm before the storm is the one who dictates the terms of existence, not by fighting battles, but by shaping the very reality where battles are unnecessary. He is the embodiment of inevitability. So when you look at your challenges, your fears, your enemies, remember this: they are not meant to be fought in open combat, where chance and chaos rule. They are meant to be removed from the board entirely, erased before the war begins. To wield such power demands sacrifice, discipline, and a mind unshakable in its resolve. It demands that you walk the lonely path, that you embrace the darkness not as a curse, but as a tool, that you understand the world in ways others do not, and act with the cold precision of fate itself. This is your invitation to rise beyond the simple struggle of survival, to step into the realm where conflict is not met, but dissolved, where enemies are shadows swept away before the sun sets on the horizon of your destiny. You are not a soldier. You are not a hitman. You are something much worse, something unstoppable, something inevitable, the force that bends reality, the silence that roars louder than any battlefield. This is your destiny, to erase the threats before they even appear, to rule the unseen wars with the quiet certainty of the night, and to become the reason no one dares challenge your name. Embrace it. Own it. Become the darkness that ends the war before it begins. Every empire, every legend, every unbreakable force that history remembers, none of them rose because they waited for battle to arrive. They rose because they seized the moment before the storm. They struck while others still dreamt of victory, while their enemies slept unaware in their false comfort. To exist in this realm of precognition and dominance is to hold the reins of fate. And to hold those reins is to understand something many refuse to see. War is a failure of foresight, a breakdown of control. The true victor never reaches the point of failure. The true victor shapes the battlefield before it takes form, and in doing so, renders the fight irrelevant. When you are capable of erasing enemies before the war begins, you live in a dimension where fear and chaos have no power over you. You stand apart from the madness of the crowd, outside the spiral of endless conflict, because you have dismantled its very foundation. There is no chaos in your world, only calculated order, the precision of a mind unyielding. Those who believe war is a spectacle of valor and strength do not understand the dark elegance of control. They do not see the quiet terror in a man who can remove every threat without lifting a sword, without shedding a single drop of blood. It is said that the loudest battles echo longest in history. But what of the battles that never happen? The threats that vanish in silence? Those victories are invisible, yet they are the ones that define true supremacy. To be the force that unravels enemy plans before the first word of war is spoken, this is a mastery beyond muscle or firepower. It is a mastery of mind and shadow, of patience and inevitability. It is the ultimate form of dominance, the mark of one who refuses to be dragged into the mud, and instead remains above it all, untouchable and eternal. Think about the world we live in. Every day threats rise and fall like tides, challenges that demand reaction, conflict that breeds chaos. Most are stuck in the cycle, reacting, defending, struggling to keep up. But you you can break free. You can become the silent arbiter of fate, the unseen force that prevents conflict from ever taking root. This is not luck. This is not chance. This is the product of vision, of discipline, of a will so fierce it burns away hesitation and doubt. When you grasp this, you no longer walk into battles. You rewrite their endings before they begin. You will be misunderstood. You will be feared. The world is not ready for a force like this, one that operates in silence and shadows, that bends reality to its will. But remember this: history is written by those who win, and those who erase their enemies before the war begins are the true authors of destiny. They do not seek applause or recognition because their work is done in the quiet corners where others dare not look. They do not need the crowd's approval because their power speaks in outcomes, in results, in the irreversible silence left in their wake. This path is not for everyone. It demands sacrifice, solitude, and a heart that beats not with the desire for glory, but with the cold fire of purpose. It demands a mind that sees beyond the surface, that understands the patterns beneath the chaos, and a spirit that is unshaken by the noise of the world. You will walk alone because the burden of control is not shared. But in that solitude lies your strength. The strength to make decisions no one else can. The strength to dismantle threats before they emerge. The strength to be not a soldier or a hitman, but something much worse: the silent end of every enemy's story. You are the force that prevents war. You are the shadow that devours conflict. You are the final line of defense and the first line of offense. You don't fight for someone else. You create the reality where your cause is unchallenged. To reach this level, you must train not just your body, but your mind and spirit. Sharpen your awareness until you see the flicker before the flame, the whisper before the roar. Cultivate patience until you can wait through the silence, and strike only when the moment is absolutely perfect. Harness discipline until every action, every thought, every breath aligns with the goal of complete control. It is a dark path, yes, but it is a path of immense power. When you walk it, you become the force of inevitability itself. Your enemies are not just defeated, they are erased, wiped clean from the future. Their plans collapse before they are even made. Their threats crumble before they take shape. This is not mere survival. It is domination on a level that breaks the very rules of engagement. You live beyond the battlefield because you have already rewritten its rules. Imagine the freedom in that. The freedom from fear, from uncertainty, from endless struggle. To live knowing that your enemies cannot touch you because you have already erased them from your reality. This is not fantasy. It is a mindset, a strategy, a way of life, one that anyone willing to embrace the darkness and walk the lonely road can achieve. But remember, this power demands everything. It demands your focus, your sacrifice, your relentless will. It demands that you be patient and precise, silent and deadly, not with weapons alone, but with knowledge, foresight, and unyielding control. So I ask you, are you ready to become more than a soldier, more than a hitman? Are you ready to become the shadow that erases enemies before the war begins? Are you ready to carry the weight of inevitability and wield it like a blade? Because if you are, the world will never be the same. You will walk in silence, but your presence will echo louder than any battle cry. You will shape reality itself, and no enemy will ever stand in your way. You will become something much worse than a fighter. You will become the end of the fight. Rise up, not to fight the war, but to end it before it starts. Embrace the darkness, master the silence, and become the force that no one sees coming, but everyone feels. This is your path, your power, your destiny. Walk it with unshakable resolve, and the world will bend to your will. Because in the end, it is not those who fight who change the world. It is those who erase the need to fight at all. Hear this, and hold it like a blade against your ribs, because what follows is a command and a revelation all at once. It is a voice that will pull you from the common herd and set you on a path where the old rules no longer apply. It will ask you to trade the cheap comfort of applause for the cold accuracy of results. It will ask you to become the silence that topples the rumor of war before it ever gathers breath, to become the force that erases enemies before the war begins. You must first become relentless in the smallest things. The world yields to routine more often than to courage. It is in the tiny choices, the early wake, the unseen practice, the single extra hour where destiny is forged. This is not romantic. This is arithmetic. Discipline compounds like interest, and soon what was once a quiet obsession becomes an unassailable advantage. When everyone grows tired, you learn to deepen your reserves. When others stop at plausible, you go further until plausible is irrelevant. You will need to study without arrogance. Study the weaknesses of systems not to gloat, but to prevent them from ever mobilizing against you. Study human patterns not to exploit, but to foresee. Study yourself with a merciless kindness so you can hold your faults up to the light and correct them before they become a liability. Being the preemptive force is not about cruelty. It is about stewardship of the future. It is about making choices today that remove dangers tomorrow. It is about the wisdom to see a threat in its infancy and the will to neutralize it before it swells into consequence. Hold your alliances close, but not so close that they blind you. Allies are useful, but they are also a source of risk. They carry their own blind spots, their own loyalties, and their own limits. The truly effective operator builds a network that is reliable but lean. A network that informs but does not dictate. A network that checks your assumptions without becoming the sole reason for them. Learn to walk alone with company at your shoulder. Learn to listen, but to decide alone. Too many men die because they mistake consensus for truth. Master the art of presence, but make presence a weapon of absence. Presence is the paradox where you command attention by offering none. When you cultivate an aura of unreadability, people fill the silence with their worst assumptions. They plan for a ghost, and in doing so reveal the patterns that betray their intentions. Let your presence be the kind that causes enemies to misstep. Let your ambiguity become their undoing. Sharpen your timing until it is a sixth sense. There are moments where action seals the future and moments where restraint secures it. Many are seduced by motion because motion feels like progress. The preemptive mind understands that restraint is a tool as powerful as any strike, to erase a threat before it is born. Sometimes you must withhold your hand until the exact moment when intervention is absolute and unambiguous. Develop patience so precise that you can wait for the universe to hand you an opening and then close it so swiftly that nothing survives the shock. Cultivate an inner cold that is not cruelty but clarity. Emotions are engines, and without proper routing, they will send you racing into mistakes. Anger will make you visible. Fear will make you slow. Attachment will make you predictable. Cultivate a stillness that keeps the mind lucid and the heart uncompromised. This stillness is your laboratory. It is here you test your plans, prune your ego, and prepare your steps. You will be tempted to justify haste with passion. Do not give in. The man who erases enemies before war begins moves with calm intention and a mind scrubbed clean of spectacle. Learn the craft of misdirection like an artist learns color. Learn to make noise in one corner while you secure the other. Learn to let small losses convince your adversaries that they have advantage while you take the decisive step unseen. Let them spend their breath on celebration while you are laying foundations. They will never know their victory was the last mistake they ever made. Systematize your life until doubt becomes costly and clarity becomes habitual. Build processes that minimize variance. Build feedback loops that teach you faster than your rivals can adapt. Efficiency born of rigor is a form of preemption. The more your structures automate excellence, the less chance there is for error, and the smaller the window your enemies have to strike. Operate with legal and moral precision, because the greatest danger to a preemptive force is self-corruption. If you let ethics erode, then what began as control becomes chaos. If you sacrifice your integrity in the name of expediency, you will eventually create an enemy you cannot erase because it is a part of you. Build a moral architecture that supports your actions, and then act within it. Fierce does not mean lawless. Control does not mean cruelty. The most enduring power balances force with a code that sustains legitimacy. Invest in intelligence like gardens fed by patience. Information is the soil from which preemption grows. Every detail matters. The rhythm of a city, the cadence of a rival's communications, the micro shifts in public sentiment. These are the seeds. You do not harvest them all at once. You cultivate, you wait, you water, you prune. Then when the moment is ripe, you reap outcomes so decisive that the narrative of conflict collapses into silence. Master the language of incentives and align interest so that threats neutralize themselves. When you can shape incentives, you can direct rivals into harmless paths. You can turn aggression into opportunity. You can make resistance costly by design. The art of shaping choice is the art of removing enemies without raising a blade. Convince institutions mark its people to fold their opposition by making the status quo more attractive than struggle. This is erasure by architecture. Preserve ambiguity as armor. Make your capabilities known by rumor and unknown by proof. A fog around your resources makes planning against you. Prohibitively expensive confusion is a force multiplier. Let others prepare for the wrong thing while you set the correct conditions. A man who is misunderstood becomes a phantom enemy that carries risk simply by existing. Practice the discipline of silence. Speak when necessary, and make your words do the work of armies. A spare phrase that cuts through noise changes outcomes. A rumor that cannot be answered allows people to fill the vacuum with fear and deference. Guard your signals, craft your messages with intention, and allow silence to do its heavy lifting. Embed redundancy into your plans so that single points of failure do not create catastrophes. The preemptive operator thinks in layers. Not a single wall, but a multi-tiered defense. Not a single option, but many pivot points. You want contingency to be your natural state, so that any attempt to confront you is met with a seamless cascade of countermeasures. Refine your perception until you can see the social dynamics beneath transactions. People hide their motives behind politeness and ceremony. Learn to read motives, not words. Learn to parse decisions from postures. Learn to spot at the moment when a whisper turns into strategy. The more attuned you become to the undercurrent, the earlier you will find the threat, and the more precise your erasure will be. Train your body not to impress, but to endure. Endurance breeds. Freedom when endurance is matched with strategy. a force that outlasts threats. You are not building a spectacle of strength. You are building a platform of permanence. Strength used for show invites challenge. Strength used for sustain removes it. Accept solitude as condition, not punishment. The work you do will alienate some people because it will require choices they cannot comprehend. They will call you cold or distant because you are not moved by the same things. There is liberation in this distance. It is where you act without the pressure of applause. It is where you measure success by outcome, not by approval. Learn to be content in your own company, for only in solitude can you calibrate towards inevitability. Learn to let go of small battles so you can erase the big ones. If you expend energy everywhere, you will be stretched thin. If you engage without discrimination, you become part of the combat cycle you intended to end. Discipline includes the grace to watch small skirmishes burn out on their own, while you preserve your force for the decisive move. Be humble enough to recognize when you are wrong. The preemptive mind is not dogmatic. It listens, it adapts. Mistakes will happen, and when they do, your reaction must be prompt and surgical. Admit the failure, adjust the plan, and move forward. The world punishes pride far more mercilessly than it punishes error. Make knowledge your currency. Read widely, not to amass trivia, but to build synthetic understanding. Connect history to current patterns, to human nature, to your present environment. Synthesis is the highest form of intelligence. It reveals the hidden threads that lead to early intervention. It gives you foresight beyond conventional forecasting. Practice renewal. Rituals will save you. Rituals of rest, of reflection, of recalibration are the silent engines of capability. You will not remain sharp without them. They feed the mind and keep the heart aligned to your purpose. Make rituals immovable parts of your schedule and let them be the solvent that clears noise from intention. Speak to legacy, because power without direction becomes hollow. When your goal is only to win, you will always be pursued. When your goal is to shape the world you leave behind, you become consequential. Think about what you want to build, not merely what you want to break. Envision a future where your interventions have made conflict obsolete in certain arenas, and then act to realize that future legacy is the compass that prevents dominance from devolving into mere control. Accept that mercy and decisiveness can coexist. Mercy is not weakness. Mercy is a calibrated choice that preserves options. Mercy can be used to disarm hostility and convert adversaries into partners. The ruthless in their wisdom know when mercy is the more effective instrument of preemption. Forcing an enemy into rage often guarantees a renewed threat. Letting them back into the fold under terms that neutralize risk can end an arc of